6:30 called meeting to order. Council met with staff and city attorney, closed session, and we gave direction to staff. All members are present. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Salute. Pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Heavenly Father, we thank you that we could gather here today. Let us honor you and honor our town and make good decisions. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. All right. Proclamations, recognition, appointments, and presentations. We have a COVID-19 update by the city manager.
I don't have much of an update. The only thing that I would note on is I attended the Tama County Board of Supervisors meeting today, whereby Executive Director of the Health Services Agency, Val Lucero, reported that we had 19 cases in the last reporting week period, and unfortunately 2 deaths. Within that 19 cases, is very low compared to our highs at the peak of the pandemic. So I think we're in good shape so far. And she did report on the Delta variant being within the county.
Thank you. Move on, public comments and business from the floor. If there's anybody in the audience that would like to speak on an item that is not on the agenda this evening, now is your time to go to the podium and speak. Please keep it to 3 minutes or less.
My name is Dawn Sullivan, and I live here in Corning, Smithsonian. Well, 3 miles west of the Freeway. And we're having a lot of water problems. I know we all are. I understand that. I'm really concerned about the Advil situation because I have a residential well, my neighbors do, and I've already had to drop my pump, which I was fortunate enough that I could. Only to find out, and that's just a buying a short amount of time before I have to redrill, and my neighbors have to redrill. And we're hurting out there. We're really hurting. And I see the new orchards, and I see the new orchards, and I see the new orchards. And over a week, just on the other side of my property line, I've got a brand new Advil coming in, and they're still drilling. Still drilling, and it can happen. I don't understand. I'm not here to argue. I'm saying I don't understand. I've watched this for 20 years. Nothing. Our water levels go down, down, down. You know this. I can't say anything. You know what I mean? You know? But when I was out of water, and a good long time, and I waited my fair share of time to just have my pump drop a little bit, just to buy me some time. Well, that's just, it's a waste. That was a big waste of money. Because I'm just thinking, you know, I was out there without water, just like other people on the farm. Well, after they dropped my pump, which was wonderful, and I have water for a bit. I hadn't been in town for some days. Coming to town, I'm sorry, but I see fireworks, and that upsets me. And the 4th of July, on the 3rd, the 4th, the 5th, on Saturday, on that Tuesday. Fireworks, I don't care if they're made in California or not, they're only as safe as they have it there. I hope this can be considered because we are really hurting, and not everybody can afford to drill wells. And we have to compete at levels now. I shouldn't have to say anymore. You already know that. But I just wanted to come up here and say, we're really hurting, and we don't know what to do. I don't know how to help myself at this point. I was fortunate to be able to, have my pump lowered. But now that I see, an Advil going in just on the other side of my property, and please, you can come to my house. I'll show you all this stuff. I'll show you my new pump that hasn't been recuperating for years. And what I worry about is with all these low to no water levels, if we do get a fire out there, in just that couple of minutes before the fire department get there, what do we do? I'm not being you know, we can't just stomp it out with our feet, hope so, but it's not that simple. And I gotta tell you, when I drove to town that day and I saw the fire, I still see them out there. But it not only really made me feel like nobody's paying attention, but I tell you, I respect and care very much about all our firefighters. And I felt it, and I felt like it was disrespecting them. Now that's my opinion. And that's all I have to say. I do hope and pray there can be enough, because I'm one of the law.
Thank you.
Can I respond?
Yes.
Okay. I would really suggest that you attend the Tehama County Board of Supervisors meetings. And if not, they meet every Tuesday at 10 a.m. They don't meet the third Tuesday of the month if there's no other holidays in the month. But otherwise, they meet every Tuesday at 10 a.m. at 727 Oak Street. I can write that down for you.
And I would be glad to do that. I just wanted to know that your voices are going to get heard before mine, and that's fine.
I appreciate that. There's also the Groundwater Commission meetings. Yeah, okay.
All right, is there anybody else from the audience that would like to speak on an item that is not agendized?
Can I talk?
Yep.
My English is really show, you know I'm Mexican.
That's okay.
I'm working for 30 years in the farming, 25 years, farming rice, prawns, pistachios, walnuts, wheat, and for a long time. And I think the prune trees, like 12 hours, is plenty water in the orchards. But this road is only 24 inches deep or 3 feet deep. The roots is put in the top. And I live in Orchard Avenue in Dora, and my neighbor had 50 or 40 feet prunes, and running 3 or 4 times the pump, 48 hours a week, 3 times. So my wife and my family try to use the water just in the night, but then maybe the water table coming up a little bit. But I don't know these guys why use too much water for prunes. I got pictures, how much water in the field, or put it 48 hours in the prunes. And I think everybody has connection to the water, so everybody, I think, need save a little bit of the water. I don't put the water in my 10 acres olives. My son don't put the water in the his yard for saving the water. My daughter don't put the water in 5 acres trees for saving the water. So I think everybody needs help. Right, saving the water. So, that's all. Thank you. And my water is 110 feet, 110 feet deep, and there's no water. It's pump a little bit, just for the dishes. It's all for the toilet. I use upside for the toilet, for pee. My wife uses the water for the toilet, for this woman. But it's critical. And the pumps start pumping air, dude, it's signal that you don't have water. I use just the drops to wash my hands. I then need like say, 5 minutes, try to save a little bit of water, put the meters in the pumps, how many hours working, meters in the electric power meters, see how many hours running these pumps. But I didn't use too much water. I think 48 hours in the prunes is a lot. I can use the water Saturday and Sunday, but these guys stay running. 500 liters, the pump, 100 horse pump, I don't know. But it's hard. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, if there's nobody else in the audience that wants to speak, we will move on to the consent agenda. Unless there's an item on the consent agenda that a council member or a member audience would like to discuss or have pulled, I'm going to waive reading them all tonight and move for a motion.
I move we accept consent agenda items 2 through 10.
I second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So passed unanimous. So there's no items removed from the consent agenda. Public hearings and meetings, there are none. We're going to move on to the regular agenda. So, approve agreement for consultant services to provide a comprehensive user and development impact fees study.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor and Council. At the February 9th, 2021 City Council meeting, the Council authorized city staff to seek proposals for consultant services to provide a comprehensive user and development impact fee study. As such, we did have only one respondent, but when we did some further analysis, we were pleasantly surprised with both the price and the level of experience of the responder. So within that, just to give you a little bit of a background, the purpose of development impact fees are to ensure that the cost of fees charged for the service reflect future infrastructure needs as a result of growth. So an easy example would be we have a development of 150 homes or 500 homes or 1,000 homes, which requires a substation for the police department or an expansion of the police department. If our development impact fees are undercharged, when we need that additional facility, we will not have the funds there to build them. And so it's really important that those fees reflect the cost of future growth of the city. Otherwise, we will get into a situation where we will not be able to maintain the level of service that our residents have become accustomed to. This does not cover the cost for officers on duty. That's supposed to be paid through sales tax and property taxes. This is really the cost of development and the future needs as a result of that. We're also asking to embark on a user fee study because, quite frankly, we cannot find when a user fee study was done by the city, and some of our fees are so astronomically low, it's not even worth it for staff to bill for them. They're just absolutely ridiculous. And then we have other fees within our code that are no longer even pertain to a service we provide. There's fees for some sort of horse corralling fee. So there's cleanup that needs to be done. As a result of the fee study for both development impact fees and user fees, the council has full discretion to say, we don't want to charge for this full cost of what the service provides. The council does have that ability to do so, but it is incredibly important to know what those costs are and to make that decision prudently to ensure the future services of the city are provided. So within that, I do expect that this process will take some time just because we haven't embarked on this for so long, but I do feel that it is necessary to ensure the level of service that our residents have become accustomed to is maintained.
Anybody got any questions for Christine?
No, I just think it's time we looked into this and updated our policies and our structure unless Jeremiah's going to put in a mounted police department. We don't need the horse fees anymore, probably.
Do you remember the stables? It doesn't hurt to do the study. It's been years since there's been one done. It'll compare us to, cities that are the same size and growing the same. Just because they come back and say we need to increase by twofold doesn't mean we have to. So I don't want everybody to think that this is a study to raise all the fees. It's a study just to see where the city sits compared to other similarly sized cities, and then we can make a decision based off some actual facts. So I'm very much in support of doing the study.
It may eliminate some fees too.
Yeah.
Correct. Mhm.
Yep.
At the last review of development impact fees, actually the park fee was reduced. So in some instances where we've met the measurement, those fees would be reduced
Yeah.
accordingly.
So
Yeah.
go both ways.
Well, if nobody else has any questions or comments, do I have a motion?
I move Mayor and Council authorize staff to approve agreement with Revenue and Cost Specialists, RCS, to provide the city with comprehensive user and development impact fees study at a cost not to exceed $53,820 and approve appropriation of $54,000 from general fund reserves to fund the study.
Second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So pass unanimous. She left too soon. I wanted to take a step back for a moment for the folks that come and talk about the water. We didn't speak on it because we can't, because it's not agendized. So don't think that it's us not caring. We all feel, and understand your pain, and we're concerned about it as well. But if it's not an agendized item, we can't engage with you as in a discussion about it. So I wanted you to know that it's not us, not caring. We do, but that's why we're not able to talk about it.
Thank you.
So
Thank you.
there is an upgrade to the policy on the agenda that if they wanted to engage at that at that point, that,
At the
that
end,
we
yes.
can.
Okay.
And can I say, these guys put it 12 hours 3 times or 4 times a week. It's not a different, but put it 28 hours 3 times or 4 times a week. You can see the pictures, all water and the inks.
Yeah.
So this water, these guys.
Yeah, we can't discuss it any further.
For animals, for plants, I can plant put the water in my plants now.
If you could wait a few minutes, we can address it later on in the meeting when it comes up on the agenda for an upgrade to our policy.
Okay. Move on to item number 12, approved notice of completion of payment to VSS International Incorporated for the total project amount of $442,781.67 for the 21-041 CA Corning 2021 multi-street project. And that would be Robin.
Honorable Mayor and council members, tonight I'm bringing forward to you the approval of the one and only payment in the amount of $420,642.59 for VSS International. Then to authorize staff to file the notice of completion with the city clerk at the county recorder's office. And then 35 days following that, release the retention in the amount of $22,139.08. The project has been completed. That 35 days we're going to monitor. If there's any repairs or any touch-ups that need to be done, we will be in touch with. If there's any questions, I can answer them.
Any questions or comments from any of you?
I just think the roads look really nice.
And you're 100% happy with the results of the project?
There's one area that a larger garbage truck or something has made some turns in, and we're under the assumption we can heat that up and roll it with the roller to get it to lay down.
So they probably got on it early and...
It's been really hot,
Okay.
and that's not allowing it to set up, so.
Jerry?
Well, I don't know if you're aware of that, someone spun a wheelie on the intersection of Calusa and West, and I don't know if it wasn't dried or what, but it left quite a mound there.
That's the area that we're working on now.
Yeah, I'm very pleased with it. I know a lot of people don't understand why we did it, but we sealed up a lot of roads that are going to last, a lot longer now, and we're not going to have to rebuild in 5 or 6 years. So I'm very pleased with the project, and look forward to doing more roads in the same manner and get our streets back to the shape they should be in. If there's no further comments or questions, I have a motion.
I move that mayor and council approve the following. Let's see, approve pay estimate number 1
in the amount of $420,642.59 to VSS International Incorporated for the City of Corning multi-street paving project from funding listed above. Approve the City of Corning multi-street paving project notice of completion and authorize the city clerk to record the document with the county clerk and recorder, and authorize payment of retention funds held in the amount of $22,139.08 from funding listed above, 35 days following the recording of the notice of completion.
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And so passed unanimous. Move along to item number 13, adopt resolution 07-13, 2021-01, and authorize staff to apply for the Rural Recreation and Tourism Grant, RRT, and approve a free swim day at the city pool for outreach. That would be Chrissy.
Yeah, I'll take it. Thank you, Honorable Mayor and Council. So the city has been alerted of this new competitive stand-up.
Speak up.
Oh. Can I put this down?
Yes, go ahead.
This new competitive grant called the Rural Recreation and Tourism, RRT for short. This grant is a one-time shot. It's a $3 million is the maximum you can ask for. You can send in multiple applications if you want. Competitive-wise, we have the upper hand on a couple things. To be eligible, you have to be in a county of a population below 500,000 and in a city with a population below 50,000. So there's a lot of places in California that are not going to be able to apply just because of that. There's no match to the city. It is very, very community driven. It really wants you to, the reason it's called Rural Recreation and Tourism is it wants you to focus on something that is a recreation feature that's going to bring tourism to your town. So they want the community, really, really community driven. I think 10 points, it tells you in here exactly, 15 points for having community meetings and seeing what the actual community wants. So in regards to the free swim day, we had a recreation commission meeting and asked them for advice on what they felt would be the best outreach to the public, and settled on having, if we could have a free swim day at the pool, we feel it would get a lot of kids to the pool, and then we can outreach to those kids and their parents to see exactly what they really want as a feature. We don't have a date picked yet for that free swim day, but I think before school starts would be ideal. And let's see, what else? Am I forgetting anything, Christina? All the points are on here that tells you, kind of breaks it down as to what you get for points. We feel we would score pretty high. We don't have a park picked out. That's going to depend on the feature. Also, Prop 68, if we hear from that round 4, will also depend on the feature for this, as we have splash pads seem to be the biggest thing that people want, and we have those in both of our applications for the round 4. So it's going to be kind of just tiered down as to what they want. Anything else? Oh, the lifeguards. For the free swim day, I put the lifeguard charge on here for if we have 5 or 6 lifeguards. So there would be a cost for that incurred. I think that's about it. Do you guys have any questions for me?
How, when kids go to the pool and everything, how are we going to make, is there going to be any incentive to try to get the parents there as well? I mean,
well, I've kind of actually been thinking about that, and I was thinking maybe calling it something different, like maybe like a family fun day, and maybe have a couple little vendors, just some basic stuff, just kids' games, things like that. It would definitely, we would definitely advertise it as community outreach for this grant, not just a free swim day.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. Advertise free swim days, just say for the outreach.
Yeah. I mean, we're getting, what, we have probably 4 weeks before school starts, I believe. So, it's going to have to be pretty quick.
So the thought process is that before we let them in to swim, we would engage them for a quick, 5, 10, 15 minutes to really just tell them the basics of what the grant rules are, because they need that in order to make appropriate suggestions. And then during the swim session, we would walk up to them individually to try to get their thought processes on it. We might ask for just some brainstorm ideas during the initial introductory session, but we felt like, in the last Prop 68 Park Development and Community Revitalization Grant, granted it was, the height of COVID during that time when we were trying to hold those meetings, but we really struggled with getting community engagement during the process. So the thought is, we score higher the more input that we receive. So this is a way and a means to really engage the public and understand what they want. We can also, by the time this grant is due, we will know whether the Prop 68 grant applications are funded. So if the council wanted to, it could make a choice, and we can propose it to the public as such that we could use these funds and apply for a rec center. But it would have to be at an existing park or adjacent to. The $3 million, I just want to caution for that, the $3 million will not cover the full cost of the rec center. So that would be a decision that the council would have to make at a later date. But we wanted to make sure that we were looking, the way we would propose it is, really the rec center, if it doesn't get funded, assuming council supports going forward with that, would be the primary application. But if that's already funded, what do our residents want above and beyond that? Because we will be offering, if we get one of those grants, we will be offering quite a bit to our residents already. So they will have a myriad of other choices to apply for. And we are very competitive in this grant based on how the points are set up.
And how long before you'd find out if we did go through with it? How long?
We don't know. At this point, we don't know yet. So probably within 6 to 8 months.
I'm assuming your free swim day would be a Saturday or a Sunday.
More than likely a Saturday.
Yeah, Sunday I think would be hard-fetched to get parents there maybe, but a Saturday, I'm in favor of it. Anything we can do to try to outreach the community and get their involvement. It's a small cost to us. Just the ability to be able to apply for another one of these grants and possibly get some funding. Everybody talks about grants are out there all the time, but if we don't go after them, we'll never get them. So I do thank staff and, going forward with this and trying to make this possibility, come true. So I support it 100%.
I move mayor and council authorize staff to submit an application for the Rural Recreation and Tourism Grant and then adopt resolution 07-13-2021-01, a resolution authorizing the submittal of the Rural Recreation and Tourism Grant, resolution number 07-13-2021-01, and approve a free swim day at the city pool with 5 to 6 lifeguards as an outreach option.
Second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? It's passed unanimous. All right, move on to report to City Council on 3 ADA playground equipment options with associated price quotes. That would be Chrissy again.
Christine can fill in if she needs to. I'm not exactly sure what meeting it was at, but it was earlier in the year because I wasn't here. But council requested to possibly put in an ADA playground and wanted costs. So I've been working on options. You should have 3 options in your staff report that shows the costs for 3 different options. All of these do not include installation. So I was told by the playground company installation cost is about 40% of the actual cost of the product. So we have compiled in the financial section what the 3 options would cost with installation. And on top of that, you have to have with ADA, they consider the bark to be ADA, but in reality, you cannot roll a wheelchair in the bark. So it really needs to be the spray in, I believe it's foam. Is it a foam? It's a rubber, okay. And that in itself is an extra cost of around $84,000 for what we need. I did speak with the playground company, and you can get the rubber to be just around your playground equipment and then lead out of the park so that you can save a little bit of money. But that seems to be a necessity for an ADA playground. I believe budgeted for the year was $100,000. As you can see, we are 170, 190, and 220. So
Plus install, plus the matting.
That includes installation.
Oh, that's it, but not the flooring.
The flooring. So the total cost, I believe, is is higher than what anybody anticipated. ADA playground equipment tends to run a little higher.
Yeah.
At this point, I know it's very important to have an ADA playground, and I agree 100%. We should have one. At this point, staff is going to recommend to see if we are funded for the Prop 68 Round 4, as it includes an ADA playground, and it's only going to be another 2 months tops out. If we get funded for that, then it will take place of this budgeted item. Christina, anything else?
Yeah, I mean, she basically hit the nail on the dot. So we have 2 Proposition 68 Park Development and Community Revitalization Grant applications submitted to the state. One is across the street that includes a splash pad and music play equipment. Both of those types of recreation features are considered ADA play equipment. The location at McLean and Divisadero, on top of the splash pad and the music play, also actually has a budgeted ADA playground as well. So if one of those grants were funded, it would meet the intention of the council. If those grants weren't funded, our recommendation is that we return to council and begin the process of meetings to, how do I put it? I feel that if we're going to spend this sum of money, that we hold public meetings with the ADA community to ensure that what we are purchasing meets what their needs and desires are for equipment. I think it would be really unfortunate if we spent this sum of money and they were not pleased with the result.
Well, you took the words out of my mouth, because that was going to be my recommendation. We're not buying a $20,000 piece of equipment that if somebody don't like it, big deal. It's geared towards a select group of people. Those people should have a large say in what we're going to provide for them so that they are happy with us. I definitely, regardless of what direction we go, I'd like to see some outreach with those families to see what kind of equipment they'd like to see. Even in our park, if we get awarded a park grant, I would still like their input before we select the equipment, so that it is something that is, suitable for their use.
I just had a question for Robert, Chrissy. That rubberized stuff you're talking about putting down for them to be able to get in and out of there, is there any studies on what the life expectancy of that stuff is in 115-degree heat?
It's hot, it's high maintenance. DeGarmo can put some in. They repaired it multiple times.
And then they finally pulled it out. I I have heard that the technology has improved, but from what I've seen in the past, I have not been impressed. But the reality is, with the bark, they can't reach the features that we want them
What if
to
they
be able
pulled
to
the rubberized
reach.
stuff out, what they replace it with, bark?
They replaced it with bark.
It wasn't an ADA compliant playground that they had it around.
But they did have ADA features around it, so they did have some ADA equipment.
And you haven't gone towards turf?
That-
Some turf down there?
Oh.
I don't know, I'm throwing that out.
Or what's the stuff that the track's made of?
That's really similar to the play surface. And I think what the track's doing, what they've been doing, it's gotten better. They do with our soil here too. I think that cost is even going to be higher than Christy said. It would be $300.
Yes, it is. He didn't even give me a quote for that because he knew it was going to be quite a bit higher. But it is an option.
Yeah, it was just a question I had.
Yeah.
I think when we cross that bridge, we'll look at every option that's available before we make a decision. That's a large expenditure.
I would definitely recommend reaching out to other municipalities that have installed it or rec departments to see if they've had any luck with anything.
All right, well, if there's no further discussion, do I have a motion?
Well, as much as I would like to
Or direction,
get ADA compliant equipment, my recommendation for mayor and council is delay the decision of the purchase of the ADA playground equipment until the city is notified of Proposition 68, Round 4 Park Development and Community Revitalization Grant funding.
A second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So passed unanimous. All right, item number 15, updates to temporary emergency water usage policy to allow water usage for critical emergency infrastructure. And that would be
That's
Christine?
me. Thank you, Honorable Mayor and Council. I'm trying to get to that page, so I apologize. I did attend the Tama County Board of Supervisors meeting this morning along with Robin Campman. The county did approve an emergency water usage policy that was largely 99% the same policy that we approved. It does appear that they're going to be coming back for some clarification items. They intend to, for those small users that tend to or will use 5-gallon buckets and will not be using a vendor to deliver their water, their intention is not to charge those users for the water at this point, but they need to come back to the Board of Supervisors and amend their policy because that was not included in what was presented in their resolution. What we've been doing, we've been fielding many calls. Lisa's been very busy. Staff has been very busy. At times it's been difficult to get other work done. The stories are all very sad and compelling. And as you heard previously, very difficult to hear with people in some really bad situations. So I'm very pleased that the county is getting a program up and going. It will be at Mill Creek Park. They will need a few more weeks to get it up and going. The reason why I brought this policy back before you is there was a few instances, and 2 of them resolved themselves, so that was really nice for that to happen. But the one that remains is we had a commercial business that provides critical infrastructure. Critical infrastructure. It's a telephone and internet service provider in Rancho Tehama that has a well for its office staff to, wash their hands, go to the bathroom, things of that nature. That well has gone dry. They are perfectly willing to deepen their well, but they can't get anybody out for 6 to 9 months. So I allowed them to utilize city water for the time until it came to council for you to make that decision of that whether that would be allowable. Otherwise, I would not recommend at this time we open up for commercial enterprises because it kind of just opens the box of, are we going to allow it for restaurants? Well, what about an office? What about an ag office? What about, there's just so many situations that we would have to take into consideration. And we're also concerned about maintaining the water for our own residents at the same time. So we want to be helpful and a team player, but we also have an obligation to our own residents at the same time. So within that, I'm asking the council to amend the policy to allow me to provide authorized water for critical infrastructure for a period of 1 month until the county gets their program up and going. If the council wants to amend it otherwise, I'm more than happy to follow the orders of council.
I don't see a problem with helping them for a month. It is for infrastructure. It's critical to have communication out there. As we well know from past incidences, we now have a big dish on our water tower because of that, so that we have communication. My only question, Christine, for you, since you were at the Board of Supervisors meeting and you do go to the Groundwater Commission boards, are they doing anything to halt new ag wells or restrict usage or try to do anything to help this issue?
So there's a subcommittee that's meeting that's looking at the issue. They made a decision today to not prevent any new wells from being dug at this point. And I'm not going to say that I'm an expert on this issue, but some of the issue is because of surface water. While I'm hearing that the issue is not just limited to those whose wells are 80 feet deep, they are primarily hearing that that's where the issues lie, and they claim that because of their wells being not very deep, the lack of surface water from the drought is the primary cause of their issues, and it's not necessarily or completely attributable to ag uses.
I'm not an
According
expert,
to
but I'm
the
pretty
report.
sure water leaches down, so there's no visqueen between the layers, so I don't buy their...
So I do know that there's a subcommittee meeting. Most of these issues are in the unincorporated counties, so we don't have a decision-making authority in this regard. All we can do as a city is decide, or the council can decide, whether or not we're going to assist those that don't have water, access city water, but we don't have authority ourselves to restrict ag wells in the county because we don't have jurisdiction over the county.
Or we would. Or I'd vote for it.
Can we as a council, and maybe I'm asking a question that can't be addressed, but can we as a city council write a letter of support of a moratorium on new ag wells?
Absolutely.
You could direct me to write that letter.
Because I would be 100% behind directing the county to halt all new ag well permits for a period of time. I mean, Glenn County's done it. I don't know why we can't do it.
Is everybody up here in favor of that?
Yep.
Yes.
I mean,
Do you need a motion or direction?
Direction to staff is enough.
Okay, well, that's a unanimous yes, please pen a letter to them. I wish there was more we could do to help you folks that are out there, but we are providing water to those that need it, and we are going to show support in trying to halt some of these new wells that are being drilled during this period.
My own parents they live in Orland, but their well is completely dry, and unfortunately we can't drop their pump down any further. It's very scary. They've lived there for 49 years, and their well's 125 feet deep. Mm-hmm. It's nothing but mud.
The stories are absolutely heart-wrenching to hear. So,
Yeah.
it's...
And I question their theory on the water levels, because I know people that have wells that are less than 100 feet and still have water, And I know people that are well over 100 feet that are dry, so there's
Yeah.
something going on.
I can ask Eddie Teasdale, who's the consultant for the Groundwater Commission, to present to council. I think that would be good anyhow, because we've been holding a lot of Groundwater Commission meetings. I think it would be good for the council to hear the information directly. It's not a precise science yet.
Yeah. All right, well, we have a motion that needs to be made on the agendized item. If there's no further discussion or comments, do I have a motion?
I make a motion, Mayor and Council approve the amended temporary water usage policy to allow commercial businesses that provide critical emergency infrastructure use of city water until August 13th, 2021, following all other policy requirements and conditions.
Second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That's so passed unanimous. Well, that concludes our agenda. There's no items placed from the floor. Communications, correspondence, and information? Nothing. Reports from mayor and council members. Councilman Demo.
Well, I attended a Tama County Transportation Board meeting, and due to lack of a quorum, it was promptly canceled. So I have nothing to report on that.
Councilwoman Harkins.
I attended the grand opening ribbon cutting of Yaya's, and it was great. They had a really good turnout.
That's good.
And then I have a community action meeting on Thursday, so.
Chewy?
Just going to do 3 quick reminders of the Olive Festival and Car Show. It's Saturday, October 9th. And then the Corning Farmers Market's still on Thursdays from 5 to 7:30 at the Northside Park. And the Chamber of Commerce Golf Tournament will be Saturday, September 11th at the Links. And the last day to register would be the 8th of September. And there's a $100 registration fee, and that includes 18 holes of golf with cart, and there will be first and second places.
You register at the chamber?
Yes, please. Box lunch, yes.
Beverages?
No.
No. Trying to make money, probably.
Karen?
I also attended Yaya's, but much earlier than Shelley did. And on Sunday, I was at the bowling, the triathlon, which I have to say was really fun to watch at the bowling alley. There was bowling, pool, and darts.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and had a really big turnout. It was nice to see a bunch of people just having a really good time. And we're having an emergency meeting for the landfill commission on Monday at 8:30.
All righty. I have nothing to report this week, so with that...
Tom has something, maybe he wants to report.
Tom, do you have an item you'd like to announce?
Yes. Our dinner?
You have 2 things.
Our dinner?
A
You have 2
dinner?
things.
Our dinner?
No?
The flagpole? I know, but... Okay, never mind, Tom doesn't have anything.
Well, that meeting adjourned.